You know, it sounds simple, but water flows downhill, and that's important to keep in mind with any drainage system. So the first step in installing a successful waterguard installation is to get a drain outlet or the sump at the low spot. This means you have to find where the low spot is by measuring. You can find the low spot in a number of ways. You could ask the homeowner, when your basement leaks, where does the water run to? Or, when the basement leaks, where is the deepest puddle? Or, when your basement leaks, where does it dry last? You could also measure from the floor joist at the perimeter of the basement down to the floor. Wherever you get the biggest measurement is the low spot. The best way to find the low spot is to use a laser level like this one called the gizmo. You set it up in the center of the floor and shoot a beam along a wall and measure from the beam to the floor. The bigger the measurement, the lower the floor. Then you turn the gizmo laser level 90 degrees, leaving it just where it was, to shoot it on another wall. The gizmo can be on the floor or elevated on something. Just remember not to move it when you shoot a different wall. Just turn it. You'll be surprised how far off some floors can be and how far off they can be without noticing it by eye. To find the low spot in a basement, which we talked about is very important so water flows downhill, it'll make our system perform a lot better. We need to measure for the low spot. One way is to measure from the joist down to the floor, and the greatest measurement around the basement is the low spot. However, in a very old house like this one, the floors may not be straight, and so you can't rely on the floor system being flat and level. In fact, even in a new house, the floors could be crooked and not flat and level. So we want to use a laser level. And the way we use it is we put it on the floor in one spot. It could be on a chair or a box elevated to get shoot the beam over some stored items and so forth. But you don't want to move it other than just turning it. Once it's set up in the basement, you don't want to move it around while you're taking your measurements. And this is the way it works. We'll put it down on the floor. We'll turn it on. And it's shooting a beam at a 90 degree wide angle from the laser level, and we're going to measure our floor. And so here we have 3¼ inches. Over here we have 3½ inches. So it's 1/4 inch lower here than it is just over there. Let's take a look down the wall over here. Over here we have 2 inches. So you can see that it's 1 3/4 inches higher over here than it is just over there in that corner. And so now we know for sure where our sump has to go, at least just looking at these two walls. But we need to look at the whole basement. So what we're going to do is we're going to come back to our laser level, and we're just going to turn it 90 degrees. We're going to leave it in the same spot, just turn it 90 degrees, and we're going to measure here. So we have 2 3/4. So it's still 1 inch higher than that first corner that we started in. Okay, we'll come down here, we'll measure, and we see that it's 2 3/4. So this front wall is level, but it's still 1 inch higher than in that back corner. So we'll continue that process, turning the laser level and checking all the walls till we find the low spot. And sometimes there may be 2 low spots, and we could just figure how we can set up the system so everything flows nice to the lowest low spot where the sump location will be. After measuring all 4 walls, we found that where we started was in fact the low spot. It's 2½ inches lower than the highest spot in this basement.